G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to Back to Cold Water with Mags, and sorry about the delay since the last video. I know it's been like 6 or 7 weeks or something at this point. It has been some time. For those who haven't been on my Discord or following the couple of small updates I've done on the social tab on YouTube, I've actually been incredibly unwell. I did a back injury, and then I got rather sick, bad enough that I have spent quite a bit of time in and out of hospital over the last 6 to 7 weeks. So that hasn't been great. You'll probably still hear it a bit in my voice. I'm a bit gravelly. That's unnormal, unfortunately. I have no idea how long that's going to last, but that's how I sound at the moment. Just have a drink and keep trying to keep myself all lubed up. I am on the mend, but yeah, it's still going to take a while for me to get back, but I'll get back to where I was at anyway. Anyways, so a little bit of an update from our last video on Cold Waters. So, for those in the comment section, Mags, you forgot to load up the special forces for the mission. No, I didn't. I just didn't load them up on camera. So they're loaded on board at the moment. We are just north of Holy Loch, as in this is the northern UK at the moment. We are just exiting, and we've been intercepted by a November class that is really bloody close. It's also deaf as a post. It has no idea we're here. Its current range is 2.6 kilojards. It has no clue that we're parked here, running silent, engine turned off, or screw wound down, 0 knots, just on the float. It has no idea that we're here, and I'm kind of hoping it stays that way. This is actually rather unfortunate running into this, though, because you'll notice with the special forces loaded in, all of these are empty at the moment. You can only carry what's in the tubes. You can't carry any internal stores while they're on board. So I only have 3 torpedoes and a Moss. That's it. That's all I've got access to. And that's for this entire mission. So if I need more than that to get these guys dropped off, bad luck. So, unfortunately, with this November so close, I think I'm actually going to have to sink it. I don't really want to sink it, because that's 1 torpedo I'm going to have less, but I'm not going to have a choice here. It's currently doing 10 knots. It's going to hear the transient the second I fire, or at least I would assume it would, and it'd have to. Now, on the upside is, we are on the edge of a drop-off, so it's relatively shallow up here, but we actually have some depth where we are. The bottom is past 2,000 feet, so we're good. So I have some room to maneuver, but we are next to essentially an underwater cliff face here, so I do have to watch how I maneuver, because it'll get shallow very rapidly up here. I think up here is only about 800 feet once you get up here into the blue. So it gets very shallow very quickly. It's 2.7. We are opening a gap. I'm hoping it would make a right-hand turn and give me its baffles for a torpedo shot, but for the moment, it doesn't seem interested. It's just sort of cruising a patrol across what would technically be the entrance down to Holy Loch. So Holy Loch is down here somewhere, this way. That's where we're coming out of. We're just hitting the blue water as we're leaving the northern UK. Yeah, I think I'm just going to give this some time and see what this November does. Because I don't really want to have to dodge torpedoes at this kind of range. Alright, so we've started moving again. Maintaining 5 knots. There we go. We're finally getting the November back in. We lost it there for just a second. We're down to 66% solution. It still seems to be heading across. It looks like it was heading northwest for a short moment, and then it turned back to west. I'm just waiting till we've got a confirmation on its location, but I'm hoping Yeah. It's on 4.4 kiloyards now. Ambient sound in the water is 104 decibels. Right.
Shoot 2-1. Aye, sir.
Torpedo is away. Alright, I'm going to go to full stop.
For 0 knots.
I'm going to 150 feet. Retract towed array. Now, the reason why I'm going to 150 feet all stop is I want to be as quiet as possible, and I want to get above the layer and into this duct. It's only a weak duct and a weak layer, but that will help shield us. And I want us shielded on the off chance it picks up this torpedo. Like, it shouldn't. I don't see any reason why it would. But any return fire is going to be coming down in this vector, and I just want to make sure that we're good for all that. Actually, turned across. So what I'm doing is using the grid to make sure I can line up, work out roughly where the baffles would be. So she should be blind. On a November, at the very least, should be blind on an arc about that big. So now, in fact, with this much time, I have the torpedo go noisy. And I might even get the torpedo above the layer. So there we go. So you see the torpedo depth over here. So the torpedo is currently sitting just above the layer in the duct. And then I will dive it down when it's close enough to drop in on the November. Alright, weapons picked up and match depth. No reaction at all from the November. She can't see it coming. It's directly behind her. And right in her baffles. Should see the November lurking out of the gloom here in just a moment. There she is. Still no countermeasures, no reactions, no attempt to turn. And nothing. She has no idea what's going on. She can't hear a thing. Nothing.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 1, last bearing 283. Contact breaking up.
November down. Alright. We have a problem here. It's a little bit cheaty, but I can't leave the area at the moment because there's another submarine here somewhere. We have 2 targets. That November was not alone. This is just out to make my day hard. Alright, set 5 knots.
Make turns for 5 knots.
Looks at the towed array out. I've detected no other submarines.
Making turns for 5 knots.
There had to be a submarine group right at the exit of Holy Lock. That's exactly what I needed. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to try and stir this bastard up. We can't see him. We can't hear him.
Con sonar.
Going
Switching
active.
to active search.
Where
Con
are
sonar.
you?
New contact bearing 3, 2, 4.
Sierra
Designated
2.
Sierra 2.
Super weak.
Con sonar. Launch transient from Sierra 2.
Torpedo at us.
2. Aye, sir.
Con
Oh.
sonar. Launch transient
2nd
from
November.
Sierra 2.
2nd November. Alright, change direction.
Come left to 317 Helm I.
Pair of Novembers right outside of Holy Lock. What is the rest of the
sonar,
Navy
lost
doing?
Contact. Sierra 2. Last bearing 3, 2, 1. Contact faded.
Right, so the November is...
Con
Alright, it
sonar,
knows where we are.
switching to active search.
Where is he? I think they're turning directly towards us. We did have confirmation there. I'll just leave that. So if we get a partial and it jumps, we know where they were. And I'm getting nothing now. That's good. That's exactly what I want.
Con sonar, switching
really.
to passive search.
Alright. Total array retracted.
Con.
Total array's useless
steady
to us
course.
here because they're directly on our nose. Alright, so total array retracted, and I'm going to accelerate. We don't have a speed for what the contact was at, but I'm going to try and close range. We're going to go to 10 knots.
For 10 knots. Maneuvering I. Con maneuvering. Making turns for 10 knots.
I'm actually going to accelerate further than this first, but... yeah, I'm going to have to wait. What is the range? Range, which will be less now unless it's changed. So I was at 6.6, 6.6, and we could not hear in November. It's not that loud in the water. It's only 104 decibels. Also, the 2nd November not reacting at all to Sierra 1's demise. You would think it would have gone active when it heard its mate explode, but... although, that assumes competency, and I think we've all been watching what's going on in Ukraine in regards to Russian competency, so...
Con sonar regained contact on Sierra 2, bearing 3, 2, 1.
Right, we've got it. And it is still heading in our direction, so it's actually probably about here. It's likely just gone active because it's just heard our torpedoes, so... that means their torpedoes are not going to be far away from us either. We assume their torpedoes are covered at least half the distance.
Sonar, Sierra 2 is cavitating.
Right, there we go. Torpedo tracking, alright. Depth change, going to 800 feet.
Make depth 700 feet, dive I.
I'm completely reliant on the torpedo at this point.
Fire control, weapon countermeasure homing.
Looks like the torpedo is tracking through the countermeasure. Yep, we've got the November. There it is, it's just rendered in, so it's just jumped to 95% solution. Again, for those who don't play Cold Waters, you can't just use the 3D camera to spot targets. The targets will only show up if you have a 95% solution, so you need to already know where they are before they'll show up in the 3D. Oh! Lucky boy, that was close.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
Torpedo zone back on.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
Yeah, got you this time, I reckon.
Con sonar
Yep.
lost contact. Sierra 2, last bearing.
Alright.
30,
Clear markers.
5. Contact breaking up.
Oh, the shot was poor. Torpedoes are active. I think there was 3 torps fired. Only 2 detected so far. One's on a search track and one's just running straight. It either hasn't activated or it's just running on a straight acoustic search. Alright, so USS Grayling, SSN 646, in the vicinity of the Baltic Sea. No, we're not. We're not even close. So after action report, 2 Novembers sunk, and we have 1 Mark 48 and 1 Moss left. Alright, so that was not ideal. We would have preferred not to use those torpedoes, because now we only have 1, and I really hope we don't need it. Anyways, let's continue on with our mission. Good job, but this is not your mission objective. You don't say. Alright, ladies and gents, and welcome to Narvik. So we've managed to cross most of the distance. Somehow I don't think that's in the right position. So we've managed to cross most of the distance at this point in time to, well, we're right on our objective. This is where we've got to get to deploy our troops, or our special forces. And we did manage to get through undetected, so thankfully we didn't need those last torpedo or that last Moss. So now what I've got to do is get ourselves from here to there, drop off our special forces, turn around and get back out. So we've got a couple of targets here on the surface.
Con sonar. Sierra
We gotta watch
4
out for.
is classified as escort.
Yeah, we have the comm here. Obviously bringing supplies in and out. It actually looks really nice when you've actually got some landmass in the background, doesn't it? Like it just really looks good. But she's there. We've got a Kashin that's lurking around, pinging away on its active sonar. So it's one
Con
of the
sonar.
bay guards
Sierra
here.
5 is classified
And
as merchant.
it looks like a Chilikin and a Poti. We've got a trawler that's right on top of us. It's actually...
Make turns for 10.
No, don't make any turns, thank you. Yeah, we've got a trawler here that doesn't actually realise it at this point in time, but it's sort of covering up our sound.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 2, last bearing 250. Contact is in the baffles.
Yep, that's the trawler, that's fine. Alright, so conditions. We have over 1,000 feet to play with here, which is interesting. Possible sonar boy. Right, so I'm going to drop us to 200 feet because we're sitting right on the threshold for the duct and the layer at the moment. I want to be just below rather than in it.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 5.
It's 10.6 kiluyards.
065. Contact faded.
Yeah, 10.6 kiluyards to that Kashin. The Kashin is doing 25 knots, so it can't hear anything. Poti is doing 23 knots. I'm less than concerned about it. The Chilikin can be an issue, because depending what it's doing in here, it starts getting really shallow through this section, and we're going to have to navigate it. Now, this is going to take a lot of time, because a lot of these insertion missions, the thing with them is, it's about patience. So you might have to bring the sub up, and then some stuff will start getting a little bit too close. So you want to hide where you are and just shut off your screw and stop. And you might have to sit there for 10 minutes, like real time, or while time acceleration's running, in order to wait for ships to move away, and then you bring the screw back up and you gently sneak around. So this is going to take time. And the objective here is, don't be detected at all. Like, if I have to use this torpedo or this this moss, I've failed because I've been detected. Right, so I have no idea what the hell this Kashin is up to over here at the moment. It seems really interested in the shore over there, but I'm kind of happy for it to keep doing that. Trawler's turning back, which is good. My noise cover is heading back in my direction, but unfortunately it's only going to hang around there. Slight angle change. I'm just going to dip into this section here, and then make a turn to go up, and then around and down, and that should be the easiest way. I'm going to have to check what the depth is going to be through here. I'm not actually sure. I'm assuming I'm going to have at least 500 feet to play with through this section, but I'm concerned about this Chilikin. It's moments like these I actually kind of wish I had access to a diesel-electric submarine that I could use. A modern diesel-electric would be ideal for this, because they don't have the ambient reactor noise, so because they're operating just on battery submerged, and they can operate submerged for 30, 40, 50, 60 hours at a time. Actually longer than that, like months at a time in some cases, depending on the model of submarine. Without having to run diesels and without having a reactor on board, modern diesel electrics are really, really, really quiet. They're perfect for this kind of stuff. It's actually why the logic for this game keeps using like older diesel boats, like 50s and 60s diesel boats, as like Soviet diesel boats, as the submarines for the Russian, the missions where you got to try and stop the Russians from dropping off special forces.
Again, regained contact on Sierra 5, bearing 052.
We've recontacted with the Chilikin. It's in here. It is funny how it puts the contacts up here in the land when we don't know exactly where they are. I'm expecting... yeah, he's going to be probably somewhere around there. Fairly close to the shore like this Kashin is. I think the Kashin's trying to get around and its pathfinding's a little sucky. But yeah, as I was saying, it's why the game's logic uses older diesel electric boats, because they're actually ideal for that kind of stuff. While they might be old and not really capable in terms of combat capability, when they're submerged and running on batteries, they're actually reasonably quiet. They're reasonably hard to detect. They're not very big. They don't have a huge signature. They don't displace a lot. And running on battery, you've got basically electric engine noise, which isn't much. So, yeah, that's why the Russians keep using them, and that's what they always use. They don't do crew deployments with nuclear subs. Only you have to do that. What's the Kashin doing? Kashin looks like it's heading south. I don't want the Kashin to head south. And I was off. The Chilikin's coming this way. There she is. Mark for the Chilikin's known location in case we lose her again. I'll keep updating that. Hopefully the Kashin keeps turning and follows the comm over here. Hopefully the Chilikin is actually on its way out, because I can nip over here, shut down the screw, and as the line is from Hunt for Red October, make like a hole in the water and let the Chilikin go past. But if she goes into a search pattern in here, that is going to be a problem. Yeah, Kashin is continuing to turn. And yeah, these are sono boys. Sono boys or dipping sonars. I'm not entirely sure which, to be perfectly honest. But they're being dropped in all over there, here and there. So there are helicopters active in the area listening as well. At least we're not fighting in a bathtub, though. Like, there is... The bottom is at just under... the bottom's at 2,617 feet at the moment. So, I've got room to maneuver well beyond my crush depth. So there's another one out here now. Now, they don't know we're here. This is just the active search they're doing constantly in this harbour. So yeah, again, this is going to take more time. Alright, so that's more of a relief. I just realised that I've been getting Chilikin confused with Kotlin. I was thinking of the wrong ship. Sorry, this is my recovery brain still being a little bit foggy. Yes, alright, so the Chilikin is actually a resupply ship, so I don't have to worry about being hunted by it at all, which means the only ships here is the Kashin pulling figure 8s over in this section, and the Poti, which seems to be working its way inland towards the main harbour for the area. So since we're not going there, this might actually not be too bad. Yeah, I was mistaking that for a Kotlin class destroyer when it's actually a resupply ship. So there's actually only 2 ships here that are of any threat. We have the Kashin and the Poti, or at least that's all we can detect. This is assuming at this point that we don't have something somewhere else, which is possible, although somewhat unlikely at this point. Anyways, time is still the main thing we need to do. We're going to slip over here, around, and then through. Alright, so I take back anything I've said about some of the lack of realism in regards to Cold Waters. I actually now believe this may be the single most accurate simulation of the competency of Russian naval units ever created. For the record, what's going on here is the Kashin has beached itself. I'm not sure why, but it has beached itself completely and is continuing to drive itself up onto the beach. The Chilikin also beached itself, and currently the Komsomol, a new Komsomol that's just been detected, is in the process of trying to push it off the beach, but I think in the process of doing so, it's also completely beaching itself. So we have two major Russian supply ships and a Russian warship that are currently stuck on exactly the same flat of land. The Poti, however, is just giving up and returning to port, and the other Komsomol is leaving. The trawler is doing perfectly fine. So I think this is... I'm going to pretend this isn't a pathing issue. This isn't a pathing issue at all. I do not believe this is a pathing issue, in full honesty. This is an accurate simulation of Russian naval competence. The only part that makes it unbelievable is that all of the systems on the Kashin are actually fully functional. And it is a genuine threat if it wasn't beaching itself. Anyways, we're making our left-hand turn now to head up to the shore. Current depth under keel has decreased to 1,138 feet. So we do have to watch this. This is actually going to start climbing up rather drastically, especially once we get in around here. And we're going to be bringing it fairly close to the shore. I don't want to beach myself, so we do need to be aware of that. We may need to keep it more in this channel. I imagine through here now, just looking at how steeply that's climbing up, through here we may not even have 300 feet. We might have to really watch it here. Actually, the way they're going, it looks like the Chilikin and the Komsomol may actually make it out into the water. The Komsomol may actually rescue the Chilikin here. But I think the Kashin's knackered. I think she's done.
Steady course.
Alright, so the Komsomol's looking like it's heading for open water. It's managed to completely jackknife the Chilikin.
7 is classified as escort.
And now the Chilikin looks like it's going to ramming speed to either beach itself or to try and unbeach the Kotlin. Or the Kashin, rather. This should result in the ship sinking. This should result in the ship sinking. Come on, do it. Do it. Bonk. It might actually get pushed off too. Alright, this has been... I've seen some bad pathing before, but I've never seen anything like this. Like this is something special. This is something special right here. Oh yeah, the Komsomol's just like, yeah, no, screw you guys. I'm done. I'm done. I tried to get you off. I tried to do the right thing. Now I'm heading back into open water. Screw you guys. So anyways, how are we actually doing? So at the moment, we are still waiting to hit the peak. All the fun and games is happening over here at the moment. The other Komsomol's gone. We did pick up a Sierra 7. So we have a Krivak at our rear. Again, not a concern. It's far enough out. We don't need to worry about that one detecting us. And the Poti has made its way up. We last had contact around here. It was breaking up for most of the path. The contact with the Poti here is gone, but it does appear to be heading up into the harbour. There doesn't appear to be anything else in our area except Curly, Larry and Mo over here, so I think we're actually looking good to get to the drop-off without too much in the way of issues. Again, just need time. Current speed, 5 knots. Depth under keel. It's back down to 2,000 feet as we've been getting out of here. We're going into the blue water again, so it's falling away. Things are going well so far, and we're even getting a show while we're slipping around. I mean, everybody on board the Sturgeon has to be laughing their asses off at this point. Alright, so update. It's been about, I'll be honest, around 30 minutes real time since the last. The Chilikin and the Kashin, yeah, they're done. They're done. They're both completely beached, and they're wedged against one another as well, and they're still driving the engines full forward as well. So, Russian competency doing its thing. So they're out of the question, out of the picture, and with both of their engines running full, even if this boy could actually get some kind of sensor into the water or weapons into the water, it wouldn't matter. They're making that much noise ramming against the shore with the screws running on full. They're both deaf, so that's not a problem. The Komsomol has managed to get out. I'm not sure where he's going. I'm assuming he's going to make a turn left, but he got himself out, turned in, and got himself out of there, so I'm assuming he's well on his way. Crap, we have torpedo. Total ray retract.
Make turns for 2 knots. Maneuvering I.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 1, last bearing 296. Contact faded.
Current floor 736 feet. That was airdropped.
Con maneuvering, making turns for 2
That was
knots.
airdropped. That was an airdrop torpedo. So I'm going to try and get closer to the shore. Yeah, there's a friggin' helicopter up here somewhere. Can't see it, but it's there. Yeah, thought it heard something, and it's just dropped just a torpedo on a search pattern. Yeah, it's relatively shallow, but it doesn't have to be deep. Alright, so I'm going to skim over a little bit closer to the shore. I want to get close enough to the shore that I'm only at about 400 feet, or 300 feet below the keel. We get the shore up to about here, so we're really hugging the coast. The reason why is, one, to put a bit of distance between me and that torpedo, and two, if we actually have a torpedo fired at us at that kind of a distance, if I drop countermeasures and go to flank and run across here, the torpedo, if it takes the countermeasures, by the time it makes the turn back, is likely going to run into the shore. So I can actually use the land here to detonate the torpedoes. Also running 2 knots, so we're going to be very, very, very quiet going through here. Alright, so we're just making the corner. Looks like we've managed to get past our helicopter. We now have a minefield. So at the moment I'm in a right-hand turn. We're turning to make a beeline direct for the far corner. It depends on where this minefield is going to be, though. Gap here. Hopefully the minefield is just here in the deeper part of the trench, so as we sort of shimmy ourselves down the side here, we should bypass it. It's kind of pretty doing this nearshore stuff, although this is much slower to do. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to box down. So the question is how deep the box is and whether or not we can actually get down the side. I'm going to...
Come right to
tighten that up.
161 Helm I.
Stay in the shallow. Yeah, we're going to hug the shore and hope we can get around the back of the minefield. Alright, so we have just made our final turn, heading through to destination. The minefield, as best as I could tell, was mainly in the deep water, so sitting at the depth we were at, we were able to just cross straight over, and yeah, I made the crossing. The gap that I thought was over here wasn't, so but yeah, I couldn't see any mines. They seemed to all be deep, so I actually made the crossing about here, and then just shot straight south. The mines that I did actually locate were all, you know, at depth, so below 700 feet, heading down to maximum depth through that section, which I think was down to around 1,000 feet. So, yeah, they're all on the bottom. There was nothing near the surface, nothing shallow, nothing high, so nothing around the 200-foot mark, which is where I'm at. So the minefield was not a concern, or at least the section that I went through. So on my way out, providing I go the same path, it won't be an issue. Alright, we are about to enter the circle for deployment. We're at 426 feet. So it's gotten reasonably shallow in here. We have a duct and a layer back, a moderate duct, weak layer. Not that there's anything really in here at the moment to actually detect us, so I'm not too concerned about that. So I'm just going to let us get into the centre more. We're still maintaining 10 knots. Once we got away from the helicopter that was darting back and forth over here and got through the minefield, we jumped to about 10 knots. So again, to escape, to get out of here and to avoid the minefield, all we've got to do is follow straight up this gap between the two mine deployment areas. I assume there's more over here, we just haven't detected them. And just below this piece here, through here, that's where we make a turn out into this section, and we got to cross over there at least 200 feet, and we should be fine. We should be able to avoid the minefield back out. And now we are well and truly in the deployment zone, so we are going to
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
ultra quiet, and we are going to go to
Make
periscope depth.
4, 5 feet, dive high.
Actually, probably don't want silent. All stop.
Make turns for 0 knots. Maneuvering I.
And the Spec Ops team is apparently away. I'm not exactly sure how they got out of the boat, considering we hadn't actually made it to periscope depth yet, but alright, so it didn't actually want us to make the escape. We didn't have to worry about that. Okay, fair enough. I was sure it was going to force me to actually have to do all of that again in reverse. So, everything escaped here, although the Kashin and the Chilikin was still on the beach the last time we saw them. Again, 1 Mark 48 mod remaining, 1 Mark 70 MOS remaining, crew proficiency increased, huge amount of experience for that one, and that should be mission completed. SEAL team reports they are now in business, excellent work Commander, new orders coming on the downlink soon. Now, the new orders shall be go back to Holy Lock and actually get a load of torpedoes so you can sink something. I'd like to think so. Narvik in flames. Military installations in and around Narvik, Norway have sustained excessive damage in what has been called a series of guerrilla raids by NATO special forces. With no signs of diminishing, these raids continue to hamper local Soviet operations. Behind enemy lines, questions have been raised regarding the safe return of special forces troops, many of whom are deployed far behind enemy lines with little or no support. The military refrained to comment, stating that it will not discuss recent or ongoing operational details. Well, this is the thing with special forces. They leave when they want to. They don't necessarily need extraction. They just sort of take whatever they need from where they are and drive out. Or sail out, or fly out, or whatever they happen to need to do. It's kind of in the job description. Alright, return immediately to Holy Lock, Scotland for repairs and to replenish stores. Yep, I was expecting that. Alright, anyways, ladies and gents, I'm going to bring this one to a close here. My voice is actually starting to let go, so I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching. Sorry again for the massive delay between the last Cold Waters video and this one. I'm going to be trying to get them up once again every week as we have been. And until the next one, take care.